Good morning, mathletes. Today, we're going to continue our work on fractions, but we're going to be using real-world problems, which is basically word problems. I hope you have paper and pencil available. I'd also like to take a moment to say congratulations. You were pioneers in this distance learning. No other children have ever done this before. And you've done an amazing job. You've continued your hard work. You have persevered because, let's face it, a lot of the tech was new. And you all did wonderful. Even though there were challenges, you rose to the occasion. So let's go over some things that help you in word problems. These are great tips that will not only help you do these fraction word problems, but they'll help you do word problems in 3rd grade, then in 4th grade, and 5th grade, and so on. Let's look at this one. Reread the word problem to help your understanding. I often read the first time, just to kind of get the words out of the way, to do all my decoding. And the second time, I really read for understanding. I'm looking for the things that I need to know that will help me. Another great strategy is write an answer statement. We've done answer statements before. It's basically taking the question the word problem is asking and making it a statement. It's kind of like going on a journey. It helps to know where you're supposed to end up. The next one is my favorite. Focus on what we know. This will help find the unknown. It's almost like being a detective. You want to take all the pieces of information the word problem is telling us first, before we even think about what we don't know. I know, I said the last one was my favorite, but then as I read this one, I think, oh, this one might be my favorite. I don't know. Strategies are hard. It's like friends. They're all your favorite. So let's look at this one. This one says use a visual model. We're going to go into more detail with the following word problems, but I do love making a visual model. It's a great way also to prove your work. Remember how teachers are always like, show your work? A visual model is a great way to show your work. Another great way to show your work is to include an equation. An equation or a number sentence or will help you show your work too. All right, let's try this one together. Let's read the word problem first. Miles has a cookie. I wonder what kind of cookie. He gives 1/4 of his cookie to his brother. He's very generous. He eats a portion of the cookie. I wonder how much he's eating. He is left with 1/4 of the cookie. What fraction of the cookie did Miles eat? Let's read that one more time now that we got the words out of the way. Because remember, rereading is one of the strategies for word problems. Miles has a cookie. He gives 1/4 of his cookie to his brother. He eats a portion of the cookie. He is left with 1/4 of the cookie. What fraction of the cookie did Miles eat? Great. The next thing we're going to do is write an answer statement. We're going to look at the question it's asking. Remember, we need to know where we're going with this. So, I'm going to just basically restate the question. Miles eats blank of the cookie. So I took the question and I restated it as a statement. Miles eats blank of the cookie. We don't know that, but we're going to find out. I moved my answer statement down to give us room to do some of the work. So the next thing we're going to do is draw a visual model. Do you remember when we did read and sketch? We can do that as one of the methods, or another method we could use is the bar model. I'm going to do both. I'm going to write M for method and 1. This means method 1, which is read and sketch. So as I read, I know Miles has a cookie. I'm just going to draw a cookie. We know that he gives 1/4 of his cookie to his brother. Because remember, we're going with what we know. That was important. Let's plug in the information we know first. So I'm going to break my cookie into fifths. Nope. Thirds? Nope. Fourths. Because I know fourths are important. My denominator is very important. So my cookie is broken into fourths. And we know that 1/4 goes to his brother. So I'm going to write B for brother. He eats a portion of the cookie. We don't know how much he ate, so we're going to skip that because that's not one of the things we know. He is left with 1/4 of the cookie. That's something we know, so we're going to write the word left. So we know the brother has 1/4 of the cookie. We know 1/4 of the cookie is left. So we can assume that this part here and this part here is what Miles ate. So what fraction of the cookies did Miles eat? You're right. He ate 2/4 of the cookie. Wonderful job. So let's go to method 2. I'm going to put an M for method and a 2 for method 2. We're going to do a bar. The bar is representing the cookie. So here's 1 whole bar, which represents 1 whole cookie. I can even label it as a whole. I labeled it as a whole cookie. And we know by our denominator right here that whole cookie Miles broke into fourths. He broke his whole cookie into 4 equal pieces. So I'm going to break my bar into 4 equal pieces. Great. We know, because remember, it's kind of like the visual model and what we know go hand in hand at the same time. We know that the brother had 1/4 of the cookie. So I'm going to put brother there because labeling is important too. I love to label. We know at first we didn't know what Miles ate, so we're going to left that as our unknown. And we go with he had 1/4 left. So this is going to represent that 1/4 is going to represent left. And this was the unknown. We didn't know what Miles had, but then we did. Now, some friends might see this as 2/4, and that's how you're supposed to see it. Later, when you get to 3rd grade, you might even simplify it, but we're not there yet. But the answer right now is, Miles, you ate 2/4 of your cookie. And the last step for us is to write an equation that matches our word problem. So our equation would be, you can do it actually 2 ways. You can start with 4/4. You can take away the 1/4 for the brother, which would give you 3/4. Then you can do the 3/4, and you can take away the 1/4 because the 1/4 represents what he has left, and then you're left with 2/4, which is the answer. So that's one way you can show it. Another way that some people might do it is they might look for the 2 known parts. We know that 1/4 went to the brother and 1/4 was left. So some friends might have added that together. They might have said 1/4 for the brother and 1/4 was left was the portion that Miles didn't eat. So 2/4 is what Miles didn't eat. So they might have done that. The other thing they might have done, then they would go 4/4 was the whole minus the 2/4 equal 2/4, which is also the answer. There's also other ways to show it too. But that's why I started with this problem, because it's really important that you see that the bar model, without the bar model or without the sketch and draw, it's kind of hard to solve. You really need that visual model to help you. Okay, we're going to move on to the next one, where you're going to use these 5 strategies to help you with your understanding. You can choose one of the visual models. You don't have to do both. You can either choose to draw or read and sketch, or you can do the bar model, whichever makes sense to your brain. Okay, I want you to think, what's the first thing you should do when tackling a word problem? You're right. Read it. Can you please read it? Great. Can you think about another thing that we need to do? You're right. We're going to reread it. The first read was to kind of get all the words, I say, out of the way, but to get all the decoding done, to get that done. The second time is really for understanding. Can you read it for understanding? Rex orders a cake. He gives 1/5 of the cake to his friend, and he eats 2/5 of the cake. What fraction of the cake is left? Great. Now, I want you to look at the question. What fraction of the cake is left? Can you now write an answer statement for me? You might have to pause it. So you might have something that looks like this. Rex has blank of the cake left. Yours doesn't have to be just like mine, but it basically restates the question as an answer statement. What do you think you're going to do next? You're right. You're going to make a visual model, and then you're going to plug in all the information you know. It's like being a detective. Can you put it on pause and do that now? Welcome back. As you can see, I chose a bar model. I chose to represent my whole cake as one whole bar. Based on my denominator, I know I'm breaking my whole cake into 5 equal parts. I do my best to make them look equal. So now we start plugging in our clues, the things that we know. We know he gave 1/5 of the cake to his friend. So I'm going to quickly shade in one of the 5 pieces. And I'm going to label it 1/5. And I'm going to label underneath it friend. What else did we know? You're right. We know that Rex ate 2 of the 5 pieces. So I'm going to shade in 2 of the 5 equal parts. And I'm going to label it 2/5. And I'm going to label it Rex, because that's what he ate. So what fraction is left? Using the bar model, you can clearly see what's left. 2 of the 5 pieces is left. So your answer would be 2/5. Again, doing the read and sketch or using a bar model gives you a great way to answer and show your work. Now we're going to show it with an equation. Many friends might have started by adding the 2 known parts together. So 1 of the 5 pieces plus 2 of the 5 pieces would mean 3 of the 5 pieces were eaten by Rex and his friend. We know that there were 5 of 5 pieces to start with. That was the whole of the cake. And then we subtracted what was eaten to get what was left. And our answer was 2/5. Some friends might have started with the whole, which was 5/5. They might have taken away the 1/5, which was given to Rex's friend. So he was left with 4/5. Of the 4/5, then Rex ate 1/5. He ate 2/5. And he was left with 2/5. So, today, your independent practice will be in Jamboard, where it gives you an opportunity to read and sketch or use a bar model. Thank you for listening to this video. There's a couple of times where I got tongue-tied and the words didn't come out the way I meant. But I'm sure you understand, because I'm only human, and to redo the whole video would be complicated. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you. You are all doing an amazing job, and I look forward to seeing how you solve the word problems in Jamboard using these strategies of rereading, the answer statement, a visual model where you plug in what you know in order to find out the unknown. Enjoy. Thanks again.